Hello, welcome back. Today, as you can kind of see from my outfit, we are extracting honey. This is how we do it.
This is a heavy one.
So this is what we've been working for all year. It's getting a nice frame of honey like that, and you kind of see, if we put it to the camera, it is actually bulging slightly with the honey. And it just feels so nice as well. And the weight behind it is phenomenal. So, we'll do a step by step on how we're going to run this today. Super goes on the table beside us, as you can see where that is. We have our uncapping tray here. We have a bread knife. A lot of people tend to use proper uncapping knives, but a serrated edge is just fine. And as you can see, it's pink and white, so it's very stylish. Yeah, I'm a modern 21st century man. So we uncap it. The uncappings run down through the hole. We've got a bucket at the bottom. And then after that, we then take the frame that's ready to go and we pop it in the extractor. We're filtering the honey. So a lot of people will be like, ugh, why are you filtering? You'll see why when it comes out of the extractor. Because you got all of the
bee parts.
Yeah, you got all the bee parts, all the wax cappings, pollen granules as well. So we got a coarse filter for the first one, and then we go into the fine filter for the second one, and we just put them on top of each other, because last year we did it through one at a time and I think it wasted a bit of time. So we'll see how this goes. Down into our bucket, our dump bucket, and then after that we can then put the dump bucket up here where we can then start jarring. Maybe today, maybe not, but we'll see how far we get today. Let's go start uncapping. So when we're uncapping the frames, normally we can use a knife where it's slightly bowed out alongside the frame. So we'll start at the top. This is like the most satisfying part. Scrape off the cappings. You see all of that is now loose. Like so. And we'll spin around. Do the second side. And then where it's slightly concaved, we'll then just get a fork. Again, a lot of people use an uncapping fork. We're just using a fork because we're cheap. We just scratch the wax off. And then that frame is good to go. You can see it glisten. All that fresh runny honey. Now we'll give that to Dad.
Right, we're now spinning out. We've got a tintagel centrifuge, so they stand upright and on the outside. Just got to be careful not to do it too quickly. And we're spinning out all the honey, and it will all come down to the bottom. And once it's all spun out, we should have frames that are empty, honey on the bottom part of the centrifuge, and then once we get too full, we will then start filtering out into the dump bucket, going through the two meshes.
There we go. Nice, beautiful uncapped frame. You can see how our uncapping tray works now. So the honey runs down, and then we put the uncapped frames over here, and hopefully it is dripping, which it is, into the bucket. And now here is a fully extracted frame, and it's just nothing in there. Completely been extracted. So then what we do with the frames is that we'll pop them into storage for the time being, and then after the honey season's over, we'll give them back to the bees, place them on the top of the hives. They'll take the honey out of this, put it down into their stores in the brood box, where they can then use that for winter feed. And then we take the supers back off the hives and store them up over the winter. Hopefully we don't get any wax moth issues, where we'll have some nice freshly drawn comb ready for them to go in the spring. So it gives them a bit of a boost, because this year we've had to use a lot of foundation frames, where now they've already done the work at drawing it out. So any nectar that they bring back in the spring, they can just store it straight away rather than having to use it and fill out the frames. So we're just about to empty the extractor now, because it's just starting to get a bit full. This is the first honey of the season. Here we go. Oh yeah. So you can kind of see the bits of crud and wax coming out of it, so that's why we place it in the filters. This is just so you don't get any of this stuff in your jars, so all the good stuff is still being left in that honey. So you've still got the pollen, you've still got the floral goodness in there. We're literally just taking out the big lumps of wax, bee parts, and the big grains of pollen that have come with it.
Right, so this is a Tintagel centrifuge honey extractor. I've gone round once. It only goes one way with the gearing, and it spins round, and the centrifuge pushes it all to the outside, all the honey to the outside, because we've taken off all the wax cappings. What I have to do now for the second spin is to turn each frame around. So that obviously the outside's going to go first, and I'm going to turn it around from the inside, put it to the outside, and all the honey will go to the outside, come down to the bottom, and then will come out the valve. So this is what I'm doing for this step. It's also very sticky, and you might be able to hear a few visitors. Some honeybees have found us. They can sniff out honey from miles away. So all the honey on this side is gone. You might be able to see there's still honey on this side. So I'm just turning that around and put that onto the outside of the spinner. Same with that one, spin it round. So this particular centrifuge holds 6 frames, so we can do 6 frames at the same time. There are also automated versions of this, which would take away from me having to spin it around. Right, we're good to go again. Frames all turned, and I'll spin again.
We're just onto our 4th box now, and I think we've actually got quite a good system going at the moment. I'm uncapping, and then whilst Dad's extracting, I'm then putting a next line of honey. I'm just popping it over there, and then he'll give me the empty frames. I'll put them back onto the supers, and then we've got quite a good line going, I think. And we're starting to see some decent amounts of honey now. If you look in that bucket, I would wish you could all just smell what we can smell in here at the moment. Like the floral smell of this honey is so strong, and it actually tastes quite nice. And I have done the official taste test. Actually, I reckon it's about the same colour as last year, you know?
It's not far off it, is it?
No. So yeah, we shall crack on with this, and we'll see you at the end of it, where hopefully we'll have a little bit more honey to come out. And we'll show you how we use the refractor. What is it called? Refractometer.
Refractometer.
Is it refractometer or refractometer?
That's probably a refractometer.
Either a refractometer or refractometer, one of the two, where it will just measure the water contents. So we signed up to something not so long ago called the National Honey Monitoring Scheme, where it's a free thing to sign up to, and they give you these little test tubes, and we get given 3 different test tubes. One is plant DNA, so we can see what the bees have been fed on. One is for their archives, because they collect data from all around the UK. And the third one is pesticide residue, so we can see what plants the bees have been going to that have also had pesticide residue put on them. It's completely harmless to humans, nothing to worry about in that sense, but it's just nice to know what the bees are still picking up. So with the test tube, we got a frame here capped over honey. You're meant to take it from the same hive, so this is all going to be from one hive anyway. And with this, we just simply dig down. They say it doesn't matter if they have wax cappings in, and just to get a sample like so. That's a really nice dark colour, that. So we then screw that on, and then we'll just repeat the process for the other 2. And there we go, 3 test tubes of honey. So what we do, we then send that back off, and when we get the results, I'm not too sure how long it takes, we've never done this before, but when we get the results, I'll obviously let you guys know and see what our bees have been foraging. I just thought it was quite cool and quite interesting to see what forage is actually out there available, because then for next year we can then kind of determine how we go forward with the SFI scheme on planting the flowers that they like to go visit. So yeah, I just thought it'd be quite interesting to sign up to, and there was only 300 slots available, and we were lucky enough to get a slot. So that'll be going to them, and we shall find out what the bees have been on. So this is why we filter our honey, which is different to processed. The stuff you buy in the shops from like China, blend of non-EU and EU honeys and all that, are processed, where the pollen is all taken out of it, everything is taken out of it, and you tend to find they don't really crystallise because all the molecules of everything's just gone from out of it. So this is what the honey looks like out of the extractor, and you can see it's just a lot of wax cappings, bits of bee, bits of pollen, and the same in the first filter here. So we then pour that in. On there, and then it goes through the first filter into the second finer filter, where it just gets any of the other smaller stuff out, leaving nice clear honey in our dump bucket. So this is what makes local honey taste the way it does. It keeps that floral taste because the pollen grains are still in there. It's just the bigger bits of pollen that have been caught in the filter. Like if you were to buy the cheap honey from a supermarket and compare it to our honey or a local beekeeper's honey, it would taste so much nicer. You can actually taste the flower that they've been to, which is quite nice. Is a refractometer. We literally put the honey on this blue patch here, close the lid down so it's all spread out, and we look through the eye hole, where it'll then show us a load of lines and numbers. And what we're looking for is less than 20%. So I'm going to predict we're probably going to be 18%. What about you?
20% on the button.
You reckon 20%?
On the button.
Hopefully it's not. So we'll get a bit of honey. Give it a nice coverage. Slap that down. You can see it's now all spread out. Hold it up to some light. 19%. So it is honey, and we can legally sell it as honey. With this being 19%, we can legally class it as honey, we can sell it as honey, and we know it's not going to ferment. The trouble with honey is that it's hygroscopic, I think is how you pronounce it, where the honey will then absorb water molecules from the atmosphere. So it's quite important that we don't leave this out overnight or just at all. So as soon as we've finished filtering, we'll place a lid on this bucket and it will just seal it off completely. We need to let this settle for a few days, because if we look on the top, we got a lot of air bubbles. Now, it doesn't affect the honey at all, but you put that in a jar and it just doesn't look very appealing. You kind of want it to be nice and clear. So we'll let that settle for a couple of days in the dump bucket. Continue to filter out what's in our cappings, and yeah, we'll be ready to jar, which will be another video entirely. But that is our honey making or honey extracting process. Been very excited to do this, and with it being in the new honey house as well, I think it's actually worked quite well, although it's very hot in here, very hot. Yeah, we probably need to do something about that, but it does mean that the honey runs through very quickly, which is nice, makes it more viscous. So all we're going to do now, quick clean down. This is our early honey crop. We have still got another load of supers to take off the hives that aren't quite ready just yet, but once that's ready, we'll then do our late summer crop. But I'm happy-ish with the results. It's just a lot less than what I was kind of hoping for, but we will be selling them in these 8-ounce jars. They've all been put through the dishwasher, so they've all been sterilised. And once we've done that, we've then got our labels all here ready to go. So it'd be nice to start seeing our honey back into jars, because we did sell out last year and I think we might sell out this year as well. But this is what we've been working for. So we've got one more extraction left, and that's kind of the beekeeping season more or less over. You know, we start reducing our weekly checks. We put the Varroa treatment in the hives, which I have got in here. So this year we will be using Apistan strips. Last year we were doing Apivar strips, same sort of thing, slightly different active ingredient. Me coming from a farming background, I think it's quite important to mix up your rotation on chemical use, because like with your livestock and your crop rotations, you start using the same chemicals year on year out, things start forming resistance, and we don't want the Varroa to form resistance. That's my personal opinion. Some people don't care about it, but looking at it from a farming perspective, that's what we do, so why should beekeeping be any different in my mind? Right, that is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, it would mean the world to us. Subscribe. As I say, big day today, got another extraction still to do, so stay tuned for that. And then we will be jarring up, which will be exciting, jarring and labelling, and then honey's ready to sell. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.